Hello everyone and welcome to the review of the Space Wolf DT140. As its name says, this is a 140 millimeters class racing quadcopter, and it looks just like this. This is an early model because this thing was recently updated, and it's also sold under some different names such as the Helifar DT140 model. So you can get this floating around, but this is the original Space Wolf DT140, and it looks like this. At a close inspection, as you can see, this thing came from China in this simple box, and it was not treated very gently during its travel to me. It did came in one piece, but if you look closely you can see some bends in the propellers. It's not an issue, but I just want to tell you all the details as I look at it, and I feel that it's a true review to show even if there are problems with this. So I'm going to release it from this pad here, and that's much more better. As you can see, it has some really sturdy frame here, and the arms are not from one piece, they are separated, so each arm is from one single carbon fiber arm, so you don't have to replace all the frame, just replace the arm and it's fixed. While the electronics, it's an OMNIBUS F4 flight controller. It has a 4-in-1 ESC. It is capable of 28 amps for each motor. Of course, it runs BetaFlight, and it can take up to 4S LiPos. It's recommended to use it actually from 2 to 4S LiPos. So I'm just going to use it on 3S to test it, to see how it flies, how it performs. But you know that, and what it can do. It also comes with a pin and fly configuration. This is a FR Sky receiver. It's an XM Plus, 2 antennas, easy to bind, and it provides decent range. If you really want to tweak this, you can actually even get it to show you the signal strength on the transmitter or on the OSD. It also comes with a small buzzer here, which simply is it's jumping all around, so I'm going to fit it somewhere there. The antennas do have some zip ties that hold them here, but they will rotate and they could enter the propellers, so that should be a bit tweaked. The VTX antenna, it's on a connector here, so there's a chance that if this thing gets hit, it will just take off from the board there and it will not damage it, but maybe your video transmitter can burn out. And of course there's the camera, and that's it, that's all. And you get this capacitor in case you have some weird interference from the ESC or things like that. You can solder that to your power input connector here, and maybe those interferences can go out. The motors are interesting because they are labeled with Fury B, and Fury B, it's an ex-brand of GearBest. Fury B does not exist anymore, and it was replaced with Helifar. There's a long story, and I'm not going to bore you why Fury B disappeared and why it was replaced by Helifar. The thing is, neither Fury B nor Helifar to make components for quadcopters. They are actually rebranded components from good performing companies such as T-Motor, such as Gemfan. So they are usually good parts that just are relabeled with brand names of GearBest. So let's power this on, let's see if it works or not, even if it came a bit bruised from its trip. I'm not going to bore you with the usual setup that requires connecting it to BetaFlight or CleanFlight or whatever and setting it up, because this will come mostly set up. You actually need just to bind it to select channels and select arming switches from your transmitter. So that's not the scope of this review, because it's actually about the quadcopter, not about how to connect it to your PC or bind it. But I'm going to show you where to press the bind button. It's a small switch here. I don't know if you can see it. It's this thing here, very small. You can feel it clicking. If you press it like that, it will just make a clicking noise. Well, you press that, it will enter in bind mode and you can connect your FR Sky transmitter. I'm using the cheap QX7, the poor man's FR Sky receiver, if you can call it that way. I'm okay with that. So now I'm going to power on my FPV monitor, and I'm going to use this freshly made connector, because the quadcopter uses the XT30 connector. So I'm going to use my adapter to XT60 and I'm going to power it on, and guess what, it's on the same channel as my monitor was, so probably it's just a default channel. And I'm actually impressed of the image quality. It's very sharp, it's very nice. It has a very good resolution actually. You can look around. Of course you have OSD already pre-configured. It shows you total battery voltage, cell voltage, the working mode, it's in horizon mode, flight time. It has a warning that the battery is not full and it's okay, and it shows that it's disarmed and it's DT140 name. So OSD is also configured, which is nice. Hopefully PIDs or other settings are okay. So I'm just going to bind it with my transmitter and I'm going to try to fly it that way to see how this thing will perform, even if the propellers are not in best shape as they could be. But after my flight and crashes, they will definitely will not look like new. So let's take this thing out and see how it performs. So here I am with the DT140. Time to do a quick test flight to see how it performs, how it works out of the box. So I'm going to start DVR recording. I'm not going to fly FPV, it's just going to be line of sight for now. And let's see how this thing goes. So arming it. And this thing is really rock stable. Let's try a punch test first. And that's a lot of power. That's really a lot of power. I'm using an oversized LiPo on it, 1500 milliamps, which is way too much for this class of flyers. And it's a 3-cell battery, it's not a 4-cell battery, so the punch for that voltage is really nice. The yaw rate and the yaw authority is really locked in, it's really precise. There's no weird drift, there's no pendulum effect. For stock PIDs it simply flies amazingly well. Just look at that. Just a tiny amount of drift to one side, but come on, let's be serious. This is a racing quadcopter, it's not a stabilized toy quadcopter with sensors, so that's simply amazing for how well it works out of the box. Simply sometimes you don't don't expect things to be that way when you get a box from China and it's squashed down. The quadcopter comes with propellers that are simply torn apart and things like that. You say, oh, quality control is terrible, this quadcopter would not perform, at least in any kind of way, decent. Well, look at this, it's a flying example that this thing really likes to rip air, and it does it with style. So plenty of power, plenty of control, even with those propellers and a huge battery. This thing is amazing. So the so-called flips work in some kind of way. That was a bit too much. Let's try it again. Nothing broken, no tangled grass. Let's see, does it have battery? Okay, there's no much information there. I'm going to arm and fly this again. And after that minor crash, it's still like brand new. Should we try another punch test now to see how this thing goes with a lower voltage? Why not? Yes, still does it in a great way. This thing is a real performer. And I must say that the flight time with such a huge pack is also good. Until now it should have been dead, probably. And it still keeps flying. I'm going to fly it lower now, in case the battery decides to die in the air. It won't fall from a huge distance. Look at that, look at that. It's just pleasant to be flown. Look at me, I'm almost cutting the grass with it. Line of sight, no FPV, no detail control, just my eyes trying to figure out this tiny drone, where it's heading, what it's doing. So I present you the DT grass trimmer. Cuts your grass, mows your lawn, and keeps you occupied. Well, now this thing is really starting to make me like it even more. So recover from that branch, crashed it before, still flies on the first pack, still has a lot of punch, no weird stuff. And that's some speed. When you want speed, you can get speed with it. It takes a bit of time to accelerate with that extra weight, but damn, it's nice. better than expected. So battery, why won't you die? Let's see some yaw rate. Wow, plenty. And this thing keeps flying. So we'll be back in 1 hour, folks, because this quadcopter has a battery that will run for a few hours, it seems so. Can I see some voltage now? Nope, not on my DVR because the voltage indicator is offset out of the screen. So I must keep flying it. That makes me really sad. I'm joking. Oops, my mistake. I didn't want it to hit the scooter here. So this thing still has battery left in it. Motors are cool, dead cold to be more exactly. Battery is barely warm, so this thing can still fly. And I may need to cut this video to make it shorter because this thing flies too much, so it will make too long and boring video, but this thing still flies. Let's do another punch test now to see if it kills the battery. And that was the speaker going off, so battery must be near its death now, hopefully. So 2 punches, 8 beeps, then the voltage sag recovers and beeps no more. So what is this alien juice technology? You see it now for the first time, the racy quadcopter that flies until you get bored with it. Okay, I'm going to hover it now and put it on fast forward. Okay, it's now finally constantly beeping, so probably we'll fly for another half an hour. Come on, I just want to see you get down. Man, that is enough flight time for a racing quadcopter. So this thing may actually be very good for beginners, because using such configuration will give you some time to enjoy it. Have a few packs like this, very cheap batteries. It only has a 30C discharge rate, so it's light, it's very cheap, and flies a lot of time, so you can get a lot of flight time in your flying session, and that should be nice. And it's also predictable in controls. That will help you begin learning flying racing quadcopters. Alright, so it now requires a bit more throttle, but not by much. And it's still beeping and still beeping, and I'm giving it almost, I went almost to 70% power to keep it in the air, and now it has turned off and the alarm has started to sound, because yes, the battery is now fully dead, but still the battery is barely warm, the motors are completely cold. So this thing is an amazing performer with 3 bladed props, with huge battery, flies for a lot of time, which is really nice. So I'm going to disconnect the battery now, alright, and stop the DVR from recording. Oh, so the DVR just went dead. So this thing got bored and shut itself off. Not nice of him. So there you go. That was the first flight test of the DT. Very nice quadcopter. Flies very well. Flies a lot of time. Very controllable. Very pleasant. Works out of the box. So yes, this could be a very good alternative to other quadcopters out there if you are searching for a cheap, also maybe resistant one. You can see it's full of grass, so crashed it one time, not very hard, went to that branches with it, still flies straight. So yes, I like it, so it gets my vote for good to have quadcopter. So until my next review, see you and bye bye.